Hey guys, come in.
Oh, hey.
Here you go. Here, I
hey.
made this for you. You can have it.
Oh, fascinating.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's good stuff for you. There you
Good to
go.
see you guys.
Yeah, it's good to see you
There you
too. How's it going?
Yeah.
Right, just,
You guys having a good weekend?
It was alright.
How was Seattle?
Oh, it was so much fun.
Oh, what the heck? Look at these guys.
Oh,
Hey, how's it going?
what's up? Hey.
Howdy doody.
So, I'm Robert.
And Chris.
I'm Casey.
Michael is in our group, but he's
Yeah,
not here
essentially.
today. So he's his spirit's here somewhere, but he's not with us today. We are a group in marketing research 368.
Your class.
That's right.
Umesh.
So what we're trying to do here is go through and give you a presentation of what our assignment 3 was for the survey of why people aren't in engineering. Before we go through that, we've got some methodology. We're going to have a grand old time. But I want to kind of recap both the first 2 assignments that we went through so you can understand why we are where we are. So the first assignment was purely doing research, and secondary research at that. It was horrible, it took forever, but what we basically learned was that engineering is on the upswing. However, it's very slow. It's increasing, but the amount of students is increasing by a lot more. So it's really not going up that much. When you compare it to a different country like China, for instance, 30% of their graduates are engineers. What was it, guys? It was way less than 10% are engineers in America. It was very, very minimal, which isn't good. That's not what you want to do. So from there we went on to the second assignment, which was our in-depth interviews and focus groups. Now Chris took charge of the focus group, and he was a part of a focus group with parents of current engineering students. And we learned some pretty good information from there. And I kind of took charge of the in-depth interviews from current engineering students themselves. So what Chris found out from the parents was that while there was not necessarily any kind of push from the parents into science, robotics clubs, anything like that, the kids tended to do that. And it continued into, that trend was followed by people that were current engineers as well, current engineering students, I should say. And they wanted to do the same thing. They were into the science clubs as kids. But one thing that we found that was very interesting is that the current engineers felt very discouraged when a professor would say something to the effect of, "You will never use this, but we're going to test you on it." That's not very good. That's very discouraging. People don't like it. Another thing that was interesting was that money didn't seem to be an issue. The classes are there. Sure, they're challenging. Put in the time, you will pass. It's really not that difficult. So that being the case, the financial aid requirements really aren't that big a deal. Just get through it. So to kind of move on to our survey with this information we already had, I'm going to hand it over to Chris. Chris, why don't you tell them about how we actually made this thing?
Thank you, Rob. So yeah, we decided to use Qualtrics to design our online survey. We decided to then go and survey individuals who have graduated from an engineering program. We decided this because we had already talked to the parents of current and prospective engineering students, and we'd already talked to people that were in the engineering department. So we wanted to get an idea of people who had gone through it and kind of see what they thought. Through Rob's connections at work, we were able to facilitate that with a lot of postgraduates and people my mother works with. We were able to get up to 42 great responses. And now I'll pass it over to Casey to kind of talk about the questions that we asked during the survey.
Don't mind me. All right, so we had some goals going into the surveys that we conducted here for assignment 3. We had a couple of key questions that we were really hoping to answer, and the first one was, how long ago did these people graduate? So we're trying to get an idea of the average age of a current engineer, basically. We also wanted to know what they thought about the grading scale. If they thought that the grading was too lenient or too difficult, that might be some of the root causes of why the engineering numbers are plateauing, essentially. And we also wanted to know what they might do to increase these numbers in terms of incentives or if the grading scale was a factor. We really just wanted to dive deep into that. So now we'll get into the actual survey results. I'll pass it back off to my main man, Rob.
All right, so one of the first questions we asked was, we did want to try and get, like Casey just said, an idea of how old the people that we were talking to, how long ago they graduated from engineering. And in our survey, what we found was that the people that we interviewed were kind of old, frankly. over 40% got their degree 10 plus years ago. That's quite a while. Does that mean their information isn't valid? No, they're fine. But it just means that they are the older crowd. Next, we wanted to see, out of being an engineer, what discipline did they get their degree from? Well, once again, 40% were mechanical engineers. This really makes sense because I work in a steel foundry, and that's where a lot of our people came from. But the interesting part on that was, even though a large amount of the people that we actually surveyed were mechanical engineers, it wasn't actually mechanical engineers that they thought were graduating.
No.
Most of our respondents, 52%, really thought that it was going to be civil engineers were going to be the most common in the industry. So there's kind of something interesting there. We then wanted to try and figure out what these people did as kids. Why did they want to do this? Well, for the most part, they went into saying, like we found in previous assignments, they like building things as kids. There was another aspect, though, that was prevalent in why people want to be engineers, and that is try and find an engineer that's completely broke. They can spend money like crazy, sure, but they do make a lot of money. And some people are very motivated by money, so that's what they wanted to do. They know there's going to be a job there. Exactly. So then trying to go back along with that, the education. What did they do in high school that actually helped them out? Well, we asked about AP classes, STEM courses, things like that. There was a test you didn't know about, but 40% of the people we surveyed are 10 plus years ago, and if you actually wanted to know, most of them graduated in the 90s. That's a lot longer than that. AP classes weren't really that much of a big deal. So did the AP classes help them? Well, they didn't take them, so no, they didn't. Some of the younger people that we surveyed that actually did take the AP classes, they still didn't really feel like it helped out, but they're there. They did get kind of a leg up, but really, AP classes are not like college. We got some more key findings going on. Chris, take it away.
Thank you, Rob. So yeah, our second group of questions kind of wanted to get an idea of how they thought the grading scale was, whether they thought it was difficult or pretty easy. 70% of our survey respondents actually said that it was pretty neutral or just slightly hard. We kind of took this as people who have already graduated, maybe not have the greatest memory of the program that they did, or now that they are so developed in their field, they look back on it and think it was, frankly, pretty easy compared to what they're doing now. 54% of people said that they did between 10 and 20 hours of homework during their engineering program, and among them, 46 said that they spent 2 to 5 hours in a lab-based setting. So right there, that's 12 to 25 hours a week of just schoolwork. Not classroom, not lectures, anything like that. We then went to ask how many people or how many classes that they thought an average engineer would retake during their program, and that was about 66% of people said 1 to 2 classes. So right there, that's a lot of people retaking classes. Casey's going to continue on with the question results that we have.
So essentially what we found was roughly 66% of people, that note right over there, claimed that they didn't feel grading was really one of the key issues for the plummet in engineering enrollment. They said that the grading wasn't an issue, whether that it was too difficult or too lenient. That was an unrelated cause. Essentially, one of the things that they felt that kids just needed more incentives to want to become engineers. So whether we offer more grants or decreased tuition, there's a number of things that can be put in place to increase this enrollment. And the key finding here was that the grading scale was not one of the key problems related to the issue. So I'll pass it back to Rob to wrap this puppy up.
So I guess what does this mean for us? What do we need to do? How do we get people into engineering? Well, we need to start them young. That's how we were finding out that people actually want to do this. We want to try and build more robotics clubs, more science clubs, get people interested. Frankly, do you even know where a robotics club is in this area?
Couldn't tell you.
I do, but only because my boss runs it and he shows me videos from it. But other than that, really, I wouldn't know. We need to get these clubs going. People want to try and are interested in becoming engineers. There are some, as the focus group said, not everyone is set out to be an engineer. It is tough. There's some struggle to it. I mean, I quit engineering. It was difficult. But we want to get these people at least interested in it because, frankly, there's a lot of people who don't even know what engineers do. So, our report, start them young. Get going. It's been a fun class. It's been a fun class. See you later.
I'm just going to get all up in there.